Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of My LinkedIn Friends, and today I am joined by my good friend Ash Patino. Ash and I actually have known each other for a bunch of years, and she's an incredible filmmaker and is working on a lot of very cool, very interesting projects, which I'm going to have her talk all about today. But yeah, so I'm happy to have Ash on. So Ash, thanks for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. It's nice to see other people, feel I've got a little cabin fever going on here, so I was very excited to talk to you today.
So I think it'd be really good to just give everybody who's watching us a little bit of background about who you are and sort of, what have you been up to? We can start talking about a lot. I want to talk about a lot of the original projects you're working on, but you've got a really solid foundation and a really cool story. So I think you should start there, and then we'll move on to the other really exciting stuff.
Okay, perfect. Well, we got to start way back then when I was 8. So my parents got their first home movie camera, and that was it.
Yeah,
Like other kids watch cartoons and play with toys. All I did was play with the camera. I was like editing between 2 VCRs back then.
that's the
my
way to do it.
Yeah, I cast people in my 6th grade class, and my first film was called Best Friends at Night, which I shot when I was 12.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a horror film, so it was pretty good. Lots of blood and guts. But
Nice.
my mom was my camera person, so you can imagine the quality of it overall. But it was kind of my first taste into like writing and shooting and and then editing between 2 VCRs, because that's at least how I did it back then.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the start, and then it started out gosh, I guess professionally about 20 years ago when I made, which was kind of crazy because I went to college at the University of Colorado, which is not known for its film studies, and also no longer has that program at all.
You were the last graduate.
I think I might have been. So I won't even ever get any acclamation from them because the program's gone altogether. So, but I learned how to edit there, which was really helpful. So that got me going. They taught more of art film though, and I like to watch it, and I think people do it beautifully. It's just not something that I'll probably ever create. I like actually creating documentary or narrative stuff. So then I went on, and at 21 years old had the bright idea to shoot a film on 35 millimeter that was feature length called Suicide Run, another horror film.
Nice.
So
I
that
want to see that. I've never seen that. I've never seen Suicide Run.
I'll send you the Vimeo link.
Yes.
You don't, it's actually shot beautifully. But there are other major issues with it, but it's the cinematography is incredible.
Yes.
We had a very good DP. He basically, if he hadn't been on the film, I'm pretty sure it would have been an utter piece of garbage, but because he was, I think that quality really elevated everything else, because
Right.
the acting kind of suffered. The editing's pretty good too, but and the story might not have been the best, but I think we did. I think is what that showed to people right off the bat, is that I was capable of like taking a story and putting the whole thing together all the way to completion. And so once I learned that I was capable of that level, because we shot for like 18 days in the woods, and after I found out, I got really comfortable. Actually, in the education at CU was nothing compared to those 18 days. Like I learned more in those 18 days. And in the first 3 days, I wasn't sure if I still wanted to be a movie director. So anyways, after that, I kind of started shooting. I was looking for things to bring money in, because that film didn't make any money, or it made a little, but not over what we put into it.
Right.
So I started shooting weddings and commercials. At that point, there was the phone book, so I called my company Acorn, so I would be like third in the phone book. Yeah, and then that actually took off pretty amazing. I was like shocked. I put the ad in the phone book and my phone started ringing, and I was like, holy shit. And that back then you didn't need the proof of work like you do today. So it was a lot. Yeah, definitely.
If you had a phone book ad, you were legitimate.
Absolutely. So it was a lot easier to get my start. And then 7 years ago was my second feature film called Halcyon. And it did, we on both films, I shouldn't be too disappointed. We did get full distribution on both of them, but neither of them did very well. And I think part of that had to do with, I live like in the darker side thinking wise. So I think both of them are pretty dark films. and I think that is a very niche audience.
Hmm.
So with some of the documentary stuff I do, I feel like I always have to either get other people involved that keep them a little bit lighter,
Right.
or with the true crime stuff, I can go that dark because that's my audience. So I kind of
Right.
found a niche that fit with who I am genuinely. And I don't think I had done that before, because like I
Hmm.
loved shooting weddings. I was really good at it, but my heart wasn't in it, especially at
Right.
the end. And even with commercial work, I still do a decent amount of that, but my heart just isn't in it
Right.
as it was. And with the film stuff, it's like it takes every ounce of energy and passion and allows me to utilize those things.
I think that's a really good segue. So, um, there's a few things you have been working on. So you did mention the true crime documentary. So let's start there. Tell everybody right now, like what is Robert B? The disappearance of Robert B. What have you been doing? How's this going? The whole shebang.
Yeah, so obviously, I just like to preface this on everything. I mean, we're shooting this content to find answers to this. So of course, if I could just have Robert
Right.
B back on this planet, I would do that in a heartbeat. So,
Hmm.
but is what we are doing is we're trying to give voice to the voiceless. Like I feel like, especially with crimes against women and children, we often let these offenders back out of jail, and
Hmm.
then they reoffend. And you can look back all the way to cases as big as Ted Bundy. There was literally 6 women dead who should have lived full lives. And
Right.
that's what I'm trying to do, is stop people in their tracks. I can't fix what's already happened. I can't take the pain away. I can't bring someone back to life or have made them not been raped or whatever. But is what I can do is try to make sure it doesn't happen to another person. And I had watched other podcasters, from like Up and Vanished was a good example of this,
Hmm.
where he was doing the investigation in real time on a 12-year-old case that had not been solved. And that's what I really wanted to do. Robert B is a 13-year-old boy from a small community in Pekin, Illinois. And the community, the people there are very nice. So this is no reflection on them, but there is a lot of meth going on there. There's a lot
Hmm.
of drug community prostitution going on. And so I think he fell into a category of maybe the people who aren't fought for as much. And
Right.
so when I saw that after 3 years his case had not been solved and the community was so passionate about it, I've just never seen a community as feisty and ready to like solve something. So the second I posted if anyone had any stories that hadn't been solved that they wanted help with, 3 people immediately from this town of like 30,000 people reached out to me separately through different social media platforms.
Wow.
And when I saw that, and then there was this picture of him, he's missing his front tooth, but he's this just cute messy haired little boy. And I just, yeah, I got connected right away, and I just knew that I could potentially help with this. And then the cool thing is about the show is you actually get to come on the investigation with us. Like cameras and audio is rolling all the time, so you get to feel like the ups and downs, the anxiety of like going into somebody's house or going through the woods to try to find answers on things. You get to be on that all with us. And the cool thing is we've actually made some big discoveries in the case that I don't think had been brought to light or that the cops are even aware of. So I think that's a really cool thing, is I actually believe we're helping. And to be perfectly honest, when I started, I thought that was a little hubris of me to be like, oh, we can solve this when no one else could. But because we're not cops and we can get into a lot of areas they can't, it's really given us the advantage of potentially getting information. And plus, I find when
Hmm.
cases get cold, people stop asking questions.
Right.
Rightfully so, because they've exhausted all their avenues. So this is no knock against the police, but we came in fresh and started re-asking the questions, and I think it opened up some doors that might not have been open to them yet.
This is still ongoing. You are at a point where how many episodes in are you with Robert B to this point?
Yeah, so we're at 10 right now. I think we'll probably end up around 15 is my
Hmm.
guess. It's hard to tell because it's ongoing, but we did have to I had to finally put a stop to it because of COVID. And
Right.
I battled that because I was like, well, maybe we could do interviews over Skype, but it's not like that. Like this community doesn't some of them don't have internet access.
Hmm.
Like I
Yeah.
need to go out. I need to sometimes wait outside of someone's house until they come out and I can ask them if they'll talk to me, because that's the only way I could get a hold of them. Not
Hmm.
in an effort to scare the shit out of someone, but just to be like, hey, are you interested? Because sometimes they are, and I literally just couldn't get a hold of them. But I'll go
Right.
that far to make sure at least they've told me no, because I'm okay with no, but I want to at least know that they heard me ask them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's a great point. You know, it's like you are dealing with that, and you know, not everybody has access to technology. So I mean, the
Yeah.
only way to get the story is to actually be physically be there in person to talk to them and see if they'll talk to you.
Well,
Um,
and it's funny
yeah.
too, because we did, I think it was episode 5 or 6. The library asked us to come out and play the episodes, and they were going to bring people to the library, right? And I was like, the library? Like, okay. But I was excited because they gave us like a little venue to show them at. It was
Right.
packed the whole, and it was a snowstorm. And I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
yeah, there was probably like 120 seats, and every single seat was
Wow.
full, and they were active. People were taking notes, they were asking questions, and I was like, what is happening? Like,
It's
it
a
was really cool.
greatest screening of all time.
Right. I was like, this is amazing, because I thought maybe 10 people would show, and then when
Right.
it started snowing, I thought maybe like the person from the library might come and watch.
Yeah, and then ask you, so when are you wrapping this up? You know, when I
Yeah,
get home.
exactly.
So now you have you've started or you're starting a second series based
Yeah,
on another case. Not because completely separate from Robert B. Has nothing to do with Robert B. at all, right? This is a whole new case.
yeah.
So why don't you give us a taste of that?
So this one gets tricky because it's actually the cops actually closed this case.
Okay.
And the woman and her husband went out on a boat, and he returned alive, and she was found the next morning dead, and his story was that she had drowned.
Hmm.
So I'm not in that, we're not actually saying he did anything, but in his own words, we're taking everything he said and showing that through experimentation what could be real and what can't be real. And it's chilling because we put out the preview a week ago, and even people who work with him, I would say probably about 20 people from where he works have reached out with concerns similar to ours. And
Wow.
I think that's really telling when you do something like that and no one comes into their defense. The only person so far that has spoken out in defense of what we're doing is the person he's currently dating.
Hmm.
And I think that that's where are all the other people fighting for him, or who don't think, or are like, no, 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 that story lines up. Let's take a look at this. Because even I said to somebody who was related to him at one point, I'll talk to you about this, but I was like, we have to listen to each other. Like, you have to look at everything I have, and I'll look at everything you have, and then if we feel like we're both still on separate sides, that's an acceptable place to be. But I was like, you can't bury your head in the sand, is what is not acceptable. Like, that's what I don't like. Look at
Right.
the facts. If you still think then that I'm headed down the wrong road, I 100% respect that. But if you are unwilling to look at the truth of what we've uncovered, then I have major problems with that.
You know, how did you even decide that this is a case you wanted to investigate? Like, where did that happen? Did you get tipped? Did you do your own research and something about this like said I have to get involved? How did you even get involved? How did you even get involved with this one and even the Robert B? I mean, like, where did you find these?
Yeah, that's a great question. So differently how I found them.
Mhm.
And Robert B, obviously I just posted on social media and asked people if they knew of any cases, and I had heard back. Because I really wanted to work on cases here, but of course I keep getting pulled to other states because there's something about the case.
Right.
Well, after we had released the preview on Robert B, I was driving, and my cousin reached out to me and asked if I would look into Carolyn's case. Now, Carolyn is my aunt. So I think
Hmm.
that's what made it really unique. And I hesitated at first because I felt like it was going to cause a rift in my family.
Right.
But here was the bottom line, was if I'm unwilling to do this to my own family, then why would I be willing to go into somebody else's family? And plus, I yeah, it's her family, even out of Australia, who I've never met in my entire life, because
Hmm.
she married. So Chris, her husband, is blood uncle, and then
Mm-hmm.
Carolyn married into the family. Now they were married for 20 years, but her family has reached out to me all the way from Australia, basically being like, wow, thank you for looking into this. We've had
Right.
major concerns. And so, and then it was hard too, because this is a closed case. The cops have basically said it's closed.
Right.
And that's what I want to do here is bring stuff to light that doesn't make sense. Like I need
Mm-hmm.
people to hear that things don't make sense here. And you can do with it what you want, but is what I'm not going to do is sit back and not say something.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's that's really interesting. And I actually had no idea that there was a relation, that you were related somehow to Carolyn.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's
That
actually
she was family like that. I did not know that until just
yeah,
now.
well, and actually Bree, who's Chris's blood daughter, is the one who had reached out to me. So Bree's my
Hmm.
cousin, but we had raised her through part of her life. So I kind
Right.
of I basically consider her a sister anyways. But I never would have brought up doing this because that was her dad and I respected that relationship. So even though I had concerns, I never even had brought them up to her
Hmm.
because I don't know, right? And it
Right.
wasn't until she brought it up to me and I got the police report and started looking into it that I was like, something's not adding up here. I don't know what that means exactly, but it does not add up.
So you've got these two, yeah, are you're working on both of these and investigating. I mean, are you still getting like lots of tips? Are people still coming in, or at least, hey, can you look into this case? Can you look into that case? Is it now opened up, I guess, the floodgates in a sense of everybody wants you to look into different things?
Mhm.
I mean, is that been a thing now?
Yeah, that's one of the toughest parts is there are so I would say 100 plus, if that's not more than that, of people have reached out who have asked me to look into their husband, their wives, the baby, its case. And it's so hard. It's so hard because like we're only capable of so much, and currently we are bringing in some money from the show, but it's not enough to fund it at this point.
Right.
So I have to balance that out with commercial work. So I can't just dive into it fully. So it is hard that there are so many people out there that don't have answers. And I honestly, on some of these cases, I don't think the answers are that far away. If I was, we really truly believe we know who killed Robert B. And if I was able to figure that out by driving to and from Illinois from New Jersey and only going out there, I think we were out there like 7, 8 times. That's really hard to understand how the people who should have figured it out there didn't. And then some of the other things that occurred, like DCFS was called over 100 times on this case. Like
Hmm.
Robert shouldn't even have been in that home. So it's
Right.
really hard when you start looking into these at the mismanagement from moment one, with the people who we pay with our tax dollars to make sure shit like this doesn't happen are not doing their jobs. The
Right.
DCFS removed 2 dogs from his house 9 days before and
Oh,
didn't take him out of that house, and it's disgusting. So like it's hard to
that's
understand that
horrible.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It really
Yeah.
makes no sense. And I mean, it's unfortunate that what ultimately happened, to him. And but at the very least, at least there's somebody like you who is out there trying to find the truth and share his story and make sure he's not forgotten.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we care a lot about these cases. So
Yeah, absolutely, and I can tell. And if nobody out there has watched, if this is the first time you're hearing about uh, Ash's programs, definitely go watch them on YouTube. It's Ashes to Ash on YouTube, but I'll have it in the links and all that. But all the episodes are there now, right? Everything that you've got live and tip
yeah.
lines and all that. That's all
Well,
there,
and
right?
a cool update is I think within 2 weeks here you're going to see everything on Amazon Prime, so that people will be able to watch.
Oh, excellent!
Yeah, so people will be able to watch it from their homes. So
Look at that.
it appears everything's going smooth. So I didn't want to say it too fast because it's not there yet, but I think very soon it will be. So we're excited
That's
about that.
awesome.
Yeah,
So coming soon.
coming soon.
That's awesome. So on top of all the content you're creating on Ashes to Ash on YouTube with the true crime documentary series, you also have a documentary film that just recently went through a rental period on Vimeo on demand. So it was open to be rented, and it's the film Mallory. Let's talk about Mallory. Tell everybody what that film is actually about if they don't know what it's about, and sort of what the plan is for that.
So yeah, so that's that story's about a 12-year-old girl who committed suicide after being kind of relentlessly bullied over the course of a year. And so then we followed the family after her passing on their fight for justice, and to hopefully make change for future generations. And Diane Grossman, the mom, has been just an insane advocate. So we were able to harness her energy and kind of make this beautiful film that we shot over the course of a year by just kind of following them around. It was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of legwork.
Yeah.
But I think it came out so amazing, and that's what gave me the confidence to be like, I can do this true crime stuff, even though that's not in generally in the realm of true crime like the rest of the stuff I do. But I all of a sudden felt really confident because Diane, the mother of Mallory, just let me run with it. She never got involved. She never said anything. She just said, you tell me where to be, when to be, what you need. And I just did that. And it worked out. This is a great relationship. So, but yeah, I think the preview came out well. The film itself is extremely strong. So I'm really proud of it. The week rental we did, the numbers were amazing. So we're super excited about that. And now we just put it into, hopefully get it on television. So we submitted it to a lot of different stations. You know, down the road, we could potentially be looking at Amazon again for a release of it, but we're wanting to kind of wait on that just to see if we can have any of the stations pick it up first.
Right, absolutely. So yeah, I was really excited to watch it because I know it's been something you've been working on for a really long time, and you know, being where I live here in Rockaway, it was obviously a huge thing that happened around here in our community. So everybody knew about it, and so it's been something I've been looking forward to seeing because, and as I texted you after I watched it, it's a really important film, and you really made something very important, and I think you told the story beautifully. You know, and I think there's a lot in there. So I'm anxious for other people to watch this film because I think it's really really well done, and the story is all laid out there. And then you know people can form their own opinions about it however they want. But
Exactly.
you know it's definitely I can't wait for people to have the ability to be able to watch it and access it in a wide release
Yeah, that's
because
what we want. We
yeah.
want because we did a paid for rental, but we had to pay for music rights and some other things, so we had to
Mm-hmm.
do it that way. But our eventual goal is that anyone can watch it and they don't have to pay for it because the we want everyone to see it. I think everyone needs to see this film. I think it's so important for anyone, what especially if you have school age children. But it's important for them to see. It's important for you too as a parent, but then also just as us in society. I think it is a good reminder that like our words matter, and when we're behind a keyboard it doesn't make them hurt the people any less. So I think that it's one of those films that can really impact people's lives.
So after, so we, you know, Mallory, you've got the documentaries going. What else is on deck? I mean, is there anything else that it seems like you're working on so many different projects, but and they're all awesome and interesting. But is there anything else that you're working on that you want to share with anybody, or
um
you're just tapped out?
yeah, right. No, we have our third case already, and that's actually a case in Jersey, which is interesting. It's about a woman who drowned in the Passaic water plant. I think it was 14 years ago now, and so we're working on that. And then we have two other films in the works, one about alcohol addiction and one about PTSD. And the PTSD one should probably be out in the next couple months. We
Mm-hmm.
did that with a company or a group called Play for Your Freedom, who deals with people with PTSD all the time. And it's a lot like Mallory. It follows the David Lionheart, who's the head of it, and then all the people that they've been helping. So I think it's another strong film, and those will be out soon. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting. That's awesome. I can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
I think that just about does it. We covered a lot of topics, so
Yeah.
but this is great. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing and talking with us and filling us all in about everything that you're working on and all these projects. So I would say, what is the best way to contact you about I don't know, about whatever you want, business cases, tips.
Yeah, so for the true crime stuff, we use an email address that's ashland, ASHLAND, and then the number 57 at gmail.com. Usually people write us there, but a real easy way is to just go to the social media sites. I respond almost within 24 hours almost always. I love the people who follow us on the social media sites. So feel free to write into any of the platforms, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. You will get a response. So if you have a case or want to know how to find something that where one of the shows is or something like that, and you can easily search Ashes to Ash TV, and it'll come up on all the different platforms relatively quickly.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on and
Yeah,
sharing with us. So, thank you everybody for watching my LinkedIn friends, and we'll see you guys next time.
awesome. Thanks, guys.